Welcome to the Steps in Purpose podcast with EdieAnne. This podcast explores emotional awareness, faith, and purposeful living through short, reflective conversations designed to help you notice where you are and take your next step with clarity. Thanks for being here. What part of yourself are you still struggling to forgive? I want you to really think about that for a moment, because if we're being honest, something probably came to mind pretty quickly. Today I want to sit with you and talk about something that sounds simple on the surface, but once you really lean into it, you realize how deep it actually goes. And I'm talking about being unconditionally forgiven. Usually when we hear the word forgiveness, we think about other people, the ones who hurt us, right? They misunderstood us. Maybe they walked away or didn't show up the way we needed them to. And yes, there is real healing in letting go, right? But I want to bring it a little bit closer and talk about forgiving ourselves. Because sometimes the hardest person to forgive is the one we see every single day. Right? You might believe God forgives you. You know what the Bible says, and you believe in grace and mercy, but can you still be in this quiet place inside where something keeps coming back up? Like maybe you keep thinking about a decision or a time in your life or a version of yourself. Right? It's like your mind keeps replaying it. Like you've got your own little courtroom going on in your mind, right? Even if nobody else is bringing it up, you still do. Like you keep hitting replay. I'm going to be real with you for a minute and share something very personal that I struggled to forgive myself for. And I've carried it for years without fully understanding how much it had a grip on me. It felt heavy, like I couldn't just let it go. Like it said something about who I was if I did. And I remember someone saying something to me recently that really shifted things. They said, God already forgave you. Matter of fact, he was with you when that quote unquote unforgivable thing happened. You weren't alone. He was there. He already knew, and he forgave you. That literally stopped me because I'd been carrying it like I was by myself in that moment. Like I had stepped outside of God's presence and had to somehow find my way back. But the truth is, he was there. He saw everything. He saw what I was going through, what I didn't understand yet, and the pain that was behind it. And he still forgave me. So the question is, if God already forgave me and let it go, why am I still punishing myself and not forgiving myself? We say forgiveness is a gift, but we don't treat it like it's one. We treat it like something we have to earn. Like we need to feel bad long enough, or maybe prove we've changed enough, or become better before we're allowed to receive it. But that's not how a gift works. A gift is given, and then you receive it. I think that's where a lot of us get stuck. We believe forgiveness exists, but we don't fully receive it for ourselves. We can be so kind and understanding with other people, reminding them they're loved and that God still has a purpose for them. But when it comes to us, to ourselves, we get hard on ourselves and we hold on to things. Why? That tension keeps us stuck. right? Sometimes we push it down and stay busy so we don't have to deal with it. Other times we carry it quietly and it kind of shows up in how we see ourselves, how we hold back from doing things, and how we second guess everything. Sometimes we even build a whole story around it, telling ourselves, this is just who I am, or this is why I can't move forward, or sometimes we even say we deserved it. And we don't even realize that we're doing that sometimes. We start identifying with that moment instead of letting God heal it. But forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, helps you separate who you are from what happened. Because your worst moment is not your identity. Can I say that again? Your worst moment is not who you are. So don't carry it like it's your baggage. This is where shame tries to sneak in. Guilt says, I wish I would have done that differently. But shame says, something is wrong with me. God doesn't speak to us through shame. He corrects us, He guides us, and brings awareness, but He doesn't crush us. God's voice pulls us closer, while shame makes us want to hide, right? God says, come here. Let's walk through this, while shame says, stay there. You're too far gone. Sometimes we don't even realize we've been listening to the wrong voice because we've been sitting with it for so long. So let me ask you this again. What if you're still carrying something God already released? What if you're still holding on to a version of yourself that He already covered with grace? Self-forgiveness isn't always this big emotional moment where everything lifts all at once. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's daily. Sometimes it's just pausing, taking a breath, and trusting God with it again. It can be as simple as putting your hand over your heart and saying, okay, God, I receive it. Sometimes it's somebody else opening your eyes and giving you the permission you need to forgive yourself. God's forgiveness isn't like ours. People might forgive you, but still remember and still see you through what you did. But when God forgives, He restores. He sees the whole picture. What you were going through, what you didn't know yet, the pain behind your choices, the version of you that was just trying to get through. And you know what? He still loves you. Not just the better version of you, but the version of you right there in it. And He loves you now. Sometimes we focus so much on forgiving other people that we forget we're still holding something against ourselves. The truth is, forgiveness can't depend on someone else apologizing or changing. And self-forgiveness can't depend on you feeling ready either. It's between you and God. It's you saying, I'm tired of carrying this. I'm tired of letting this define who I see myself as, you know? I'm tired of letting this moment choose my next step. It might look like giving God that version of you that you keep judging, that memory you keep replaying, and that shame you keep holding on to, and simply asking Him, help me actually receive what you already gave me. There's a difference between knowing you're forgiven and living like you are. And when you start living forgiven, things shift. You show up differently, you breathe differently, you stop trying to prove yourself all the time. You stop shrinking, over-explaining yourself, saying sorry, and carrying something that was never meant to stay with you. You know, there's a quiet kind of freedom in that, and it sounds like, yeah, that was part of my story, but it's not who I am. It sounds like learning from it without living there and knowing God met you there and is still walking with you now. Some of us are still holding on to things that don't even belong to us anymore, like carrying luggage, right? That's been sitting on the carousel way too long. It has your name on it, but it's not meant for you to pick up again. So, I'll ask you one more time. What part of yourself are you still struggling to forgive? What memory keeps asking for permission or punishment when God is offering peace? What version of you are you still judging, even though you're doing your best with what you could at the time? And what would it feel like to let God love you again? Right? Because He does. He loved you then. He loves you now. He loved every version of you that's still healing, still learning, and still growing. Maybe today isn't about doing more. Maybe today it's just about receiving the forgiveness you think is for someone else, receiving the grace you give so freely to other people, and receiving the truth that God's love is bigger than your shame, bigger than your regret, bigger than that moment you keep going back to. You know what? You're allowed to be forgiven. You're allowed to be free. You're allowed to move forward without carrying all of that. And you're allowed to become who God created you to be without dragging your past with you. That's the gift. That's the grace. That's being unconditionally forgiven. Thanks for sitting with me today. And you know what? Your next step matters. Thanks for spending this time with me. Until next time, keep stepping in purpose.